Last year, I made a video about the game Evoland, a game about the evolution of gaming. Overall, it was a nostalgia trip through the advancement of gaming in various genres, but it was a short, one-time ride, relying mostly on references and remembrance of the past. The video was released a couple of weeks before the sequel was released. I finally found the time to play it, and even though I'm late, I'm still reviewing it. Does Evoland 2, a slight case of Spacetime Continuum disorder, hold up on its own, or is it giving us the same ride once again? Evoland 2 begins in a similar fashion as its predecessor, but quickly tosses the player into its own yet familiar narrative which the first one lacked. You play as our main hero Kuro, an amnesiac who was found by a man named Finrost. With no memory of who he is, Kuro journeys to where he was found, accompanied by your first party member, Finya, Finrost's daughter. Mysterious relics and mischievous characters soon cause the two to travel back in time, and with the new goal to return to their own time. It's a story that feels very much like Chrono Trigger. The story gets deeper over time, but it is easy to follow. The story is told mostly through dialogue with other characters. There will be some questions that won't be answered during the story. Even the ending is not that great. Though it's not horrible. It just leaves a feeling of indifference afterwards. Speaking of indifference, Kuro has very little personality as he is the silent protagonist. The player does get a few dialogue choices, however it doesn't really flesh out the character in any way. Some dialogue choices do not matter on what answer is chosen, as it will lead to the same result. His silent stature is noted by everyone, including his party members. Over the course of the story, Kuro meets a variety of characters and recruits new party members. The side characters are generally one-dimensional and forgettable. A couple of villains are only memorable due to their relationship with the party. The party members, however, do not follow typical RPG tropes. They express some personality via their mannerisms, morals, and dialogue. Party members usually work to drive the story while being support in the field. Evoland 2's gameplay generally has the format of a typical hack and slash, similar to the Zelda games. Kuro can charge his attack to call on his party members to do a special support move that can either clear enemies or obstacles. Similar to its predecessor, Evoland 2's gameplay changes throughout the game. The original Evoland had more quick and hard transitions between gameplay, changing for the sole reason of showcasing the gameplay style of a famous genre or series. Evoland 2, however, changes its gameplay between the different styles smoothly. It isn't until the last quarter of the game that it becomes obvious when gameplay may change. There's also a larger variety of genres and styles in Evoland 2 than its precursor. Tactical, rhythm, and puzzle solving are only a few that will be met throughout Kuro's journey. Usually there's not enough time to focus on any one of these genres other than the hack and slash, which that itself being a little bland. Once you've completed a certain style, you'll most likely never run into it again. Though that's not a bad thing. The game's main point is to showcase all these different styles throughout an overarching story. The genres that are imitated are dependent on the time period the characters are currently in. This is mainly due to the aesthetics changing between the periods. The time period known as the present to the characters is in the style of a 16-bit Super Nintendo game. The past is in an old Game Boy Color or NES format, and the future looks similar to a 3D game that would have been on the later years of the original PlayStation or Nintendo 64. Everything in the world evolves to fit the period's style, from character models to landscape to the music. All of the designs represent their corresponding source very well. Overall, Evoland 2 is a great recommendation if you would like to get a strong and lengthy nostalgia trip through gaming's past, or if you're looking for a mediocre story. Its story and characters are the weakest parts of the game, but it's strong in its design and many different gameplay types. It's also longer than its predecessor in story, along with even more collectibles. Evoland 2 gives us the same nostalgia ride as the original, but this time, it's a more enjoyable and fulfilling experience. Evoland 2 gets a 6 out of 10.